Okay, that kind of did it, but I'm kind of out of my depth here. This isn't a yaoi paddle.
It's all right. We don't need a fire.
I mean, we kind of do. I guess it doesn't have to be a fire, but I think we compromised on enough Christmas things already. I mean, we're already in like a abandoned hut.
It's about that rustic Christmas feel.
It's November.
It's after Halloween. It's close enough.
Okay, do you have any other Christmas things we can do?
I mean, there's a handful of things, but I think one vital thing for every good Christmas celebration is telling spooky stories.
Is that real?
Yeah, you know, like the song.
Like the sweater song? Like the Weezer one?
Yeah.
Okay, do you have a spooky story?
Yeah, I think I got a spooky story. It's a tale about a man-child possessed by an ancient Egyptian virgin.
Hi, local main character Zep here. My friendly neighborhood guy who slung his webs in public got arrested, but Spidey's been getting away with this stuff since the 60s. And as of the 70s, you can too.
While in the comics, Spider-Man is doomed to be tortured by the writers and an imaginary status quo set by a guy in a suit, in the real world, Spidey is one of the world's most beloved red and blue guys ever. Spider-Man has essentially been a hit since that mild-mannered incel, Peter Parker, got bit by a radioactive spider and started to hit with every nearby woman, and if Marvel editorial weren't cowards, I'm sure he would hit with every man, monster, and interdimensional supergender like his good friend the Human Torch. He also got the power to turn New York into his own jungle gym and to make Marvel merchandise money forever. Spider-Man made every child want to crawl up walls and swing from webs, and made every Redditor think that they could say a quip instead of actually communicating their feelings. And in 1976, toy company Fun Stuff delivered on one of those fantasies. It wasn't this one. The Amazing Spider-Man web shooter was one of the first web shooter toys released for the franchise, if not the first. It mimicked the web shooting apparatuses in the comics by propelling a suction cup-tipped dart attached to a string with a web motif pennant. It didn't let you swing from walls, but it did let you lift the approximate weight of a doll, and legally speaking, nothing else. Not long after, Chemtoy would drop the Amazing Spider-Man Web Maker, a tube of sticky fluid you could dab and stretch to make a weak, slimy web to wrap around your toys, or whatever. It included a set of microfigurines and a cardboard city diorama, and it was probably about the coolest thing you could buy in a drugstore since Quaaludes at the time, I guess. A similar substance and play pattern would be worked into future dolls of the webhead, once and for all proving that kids want one thing out of their Spider-Man toys: a hard-to-clean carcinogen. On that note, we wouldn't see much in the way of Spider-Man web shooter toys until 1997, where the greatest innovation to ever happen to birthday parties took center stage.
But before we get into that, let's go over all of the other ways you can pretend to weave your silky secretions and how they're still innovating on those ideas. Most boring one first, purely roleplay web shooters.
While these can be the most accurate to the actual web shooting apparatuses shown in a given comic or movie, they're also just roleplay items. Don't get me wrong, a cool looking prop that makes lights and sounds and maybe has a few little web components sticking out is fun to have and a good toy. But you must understand the disappointment of a kid who got the wrong wrist-mounted Spider Guy toy on their birthday. This kind of toy has potential, especially in the department of media-accurate props for adult collectors or superfans, similar to Bandai's CSM or Proplicud line of products, but they kind of inherently lack the play features of other toys in the same ilk. Slightly better than this infinite string flinging toy, though. It literally jams in the demo video. The 3-second demo video that they could have reshot. It jams in that. Is this how much crunch there is in the industry? Is this how little we're paying our people, our marketing people, or any people at all? Is this how little we're paying them? Too little to have them edit a 3-second video or reshoot it? Is that what we're doing now? Have we just reached the apocalypse? Anyways, they also make rubber band flingers. Yeah, this is a class of toy that really just exists. Functioning either through a trigger mechanism or like stretching a rubber band back by hand, these launch a vaguely web-shaped piece of stretchy polymer a modest distance off a hook. You'd probably get more use out of a rubber band gun or just a rubber band, and soon after getting one of these, you'll probably have to use a rubber band anyways, since the webs are super easy to lose. These are kind of lame, but have a Spidey coat of paint and are usually pretty cheap, so these make a good holdover for parents and allowance savers, putting off more exciting and expensive items on the list. Spider-Man. He's got radioactive blood. He can spin a web, any size, can do anything a spider can. He can also do this. Well, if a web shooter can't make you shoot webs, it might as well make you an active web shooter. There's been many Spidey-themed wrist launchers throughout the years, whether it be little plastic missiles, discs, or since Hasbro acquired the rights for Marvel Comics toys, killing the Toy Biz label in 2007, Nerf darts. I mean, it's not webs, but at least you can shoot targets with these. Or people, if you really want to be like Spider-Man. But enough talk. You know why you came here. Slinging webs? Nah, we selling strings. 1994's Spider-Man the Animated Series redefined a lot of things about the hero, the way the symbiote arc is done, character origins, and the best goddamn excuse to sell overpriced silly string the world has ever seen. Call me Dracula because I'm in a flow shooting these ropes. 1997's Web Blaster toy is one of the fundamental contributions to humanity, up there with the wheel, the steam engine, and writing a female love interest so poorly it makes all of the male characters in the series look canonically gay. Toy Biz, Marvel's toy jockey for a long stint of time, wasn't just cooking, they were setting the earth ablaze. And probably literally too, because this was an aerosol can in the 90s. For the first time in toy history, Spider-Man's web fluid had been represented by something that wasn't a goo that made me viscerally uncomfortable. Specialized silly string canisters meant to be mounted onto a wrist-attached trigger-powered blasting apparatus wasn't just a genius solution to making web shooting fantasies real, it was the near-only solution we'd see for the following decades. You can't swing from it, but you can be annoying with it. This is explicitly an outdoor toy and one with pretty limited use. The original Toy Biz release came with 2 web fluid cartridges, and we'd never be that lucky ever again. Subsequent reimaginings of this evergreen concept would usually be packaged with a refillable water squirting canister as the second can in the box, allowing the toy to be used in a less messy and less wasteful way. Some also came with a dart shooting canister to keep the fun going past 1 can of silly string. One came in what I can only describe as a rotary throngler format with plastic darts, suction cup darts, water, rubber bands, and silly string. None of these were as good as another can of silly string, and you would need a pretty penny to stay stocked on refill packs. But remember, it's not like you could buy any can of silly string either. These were proprietarily designed cans. They were razor and blading children, except the blades would be discontinued pretty soon after you got the razor, and they would eventually go bad.
It's the pinnacle of gimmicky toys, but it's such a fun gimmick! For about 30 minutes, and then you're out of luck, bub. I remember I got gifted one of the Sam Raimi versions of these kinds of toys, and I didn't make it out of the birthday party with any web fluid left. On one hand, they're incredibly wasteful and redundant. You're just replacing this with this. And to add on to that, they're based off of one of the worst things that King Gillette has ever done to the kink community. Make a non-sexy version of knife play. On the other hand, I love them uncritically, and I would use the web fluid canisters for whippets.
There has been one recent innovation to the Spider-Man web shooter toy pantheon, the Real Web's Ultimate Web Blaster. These are much like the prototypical release of the normal silly string web blaster, a refillable water container, a web fluid container, and an apparatus to shoot them. But here's the squeeze here. It squeezes. The water and web fluid come in pouch form. If you were missing webs being a mysterious goop, I have good news for you. You're a freak. you should be put down like a dog. The astute eye may notice that the web fluid is blue. One can imagine why it's not white. If anyone's going to paint venom in off-white strands, it's not going to be you, it's Eddie Brock. It's cool that we're mixing it up a little bit, but I don't think having even less webs with even less distance is a good idea or a step in the right direction. We essentially just made the web maker again, but you can shoot it this time. Maybe one day the boys in the labs will invent a new foul chemical concoction that will top silly string and the top web fluid of choice. God knows YouTube Spidey imitators have been trying for years. But I don't think real webs are a real step in that direction. This is why we need Fujoshi and STEM. One step closer to realizing Spider-Man in real life is one step closer to realizing Venom in real life, which is one step closer into realizing self-contained toxic yaoi.
Spider-Man web shooters are a toy aisle classic and likely will remain so until we all die from nuclear fallout or climate disaster. I think Silly String is probably going to be the best play feature we get until the government gets fond of long-ass strings and children's toys, or we find a quick cure resin that won't give you all cancer. Maybe the next innovation we'll see in the field is a highly detailed line of Proplica web shooters at various key points from the Spider-Man mythos. I think this would fit in with a host of other props Marvel has made in the past, and it wouldn't be like it's the first time they've made a prop Spider-Man web shooter for adult collectors. It's about time that someone found an infinite money glitch with Spider-Man again, because I don't think the Sony films are cutting it. I think codifying these web shooters into an actual toy line would do wonders for quality standards, collectability, and possibility of customization. It could be like those boutique lightsaber brands where you can swap out parts. That idea really has the potential to be a big hit. Or a gigantic flop. We would have to do actual, market research and brand development. I'm just like a guy. One day, we might even get a web shooter that costs less than a cent per second to use and really lets you swing from a thread. But until then, I know this. Woo! Ooh, spooky! Woo! Woo! Ah!
Okay, so that was about me.
No.
Okay, you literally said my name.
Yeah, it's different, completely different person. The puzzle was different.
Oh, okay, then what even was the scary part of that?
I mean, the guy was white.